Hi everyone, it's Neve here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we are going to be looking at celebrating a new start of the new year. I know it's a bit late, but you know, it did happen. I'm just starting in my little square journal and starting off with a bit of a bright background. And I like to, on days like New Year's and special occasions, have a bit of a think about sort of where I want to be going, what I want to be doing with my art in the future, and sort of celebrate the different bits and pieces that I've been doing throughout the year. This piece was fairly simple. I didn't actually have much time around when I was sort of playing around with this, but I still wanted to do something quick and easy. So I used a really bright colour palette. So I've got my magenta, ocean and lime, going in with some favourite mark making stencils, just putting a little bit of texture in the background. You'll notice this is a page I've sort of done some scribbling in the background. I don't mind that you can see some of that coming through, it just adds to the page. And with most everything that I do, it's going to be covered up by something along the line, whether it's stamping or stenciling or a focal image of some sort. So that's where I was thinking of that. With my stenciling, I tend to just keep going till I've used up all my paint and just continue to add. I also decided I wanted to add a little bit of mark making, just to again bring back some of that really bright pink onto the page, which I'm just using the paintbrush to do. So once I've got all that sort of sorted out and finished, and I've got a background that I was quite happy with, then I'm going to go in and just add a little bit more colour. Now just adding this pop of yellow really added some brightness to the page. It picks up in the colours of the lime in the background and just adds that extra little bit of brightness on the page. Also by putting those dots across the page, it sort of helps lead your eye across the page. With a focal image, I wasn't 100% sure where I was going to go with that, but I've just got this recent stencil from Claire Stead from Funky Art Fossils, and I'm just using my Stabilo oil pencil to draw out around it. So I'm using it as a drawing stencil rather than as a putting paint through it. I'm just using it as a bit of a basis to create my focal image. So as it doesn't have hair on it, I'm just quickly doing a bit of a bun on the top of her head and then cutting out my image. So you could obviously do this straight onto the page. I find sometimes instead of having to paint a base colour down, doing it straight onto a piece of cardboard and sticking it on is just as easy. Gives you a fairly natural surface to go on. Because I've used this Stabilo oil pencil to draw out my image, you can see just by wetting the lines you get this beautiful smoky shadowed line fairly easily without very much effort. Which I really love as well. And I thought because I had such a bright background, I didn't need to put all that much colour onto my figure itself. I wanted to keep it fairly monotone so that the focus is on the background. Did change my mind in a little while, but you know, these things happen. One thing I did want to do is put some colourful hair on. So I'm going in again with my bright pink, using watercolours to do this. So fairly translucent-y colour, but you can build it up to however bright you want it to be. I just really like this shade. It's one of the Jane Davenport ones. I think it's called the Brights palette. I think the pink colour is called Ladybug, so I do like the names of the colours. And just putting in a little bit of a fuchsia colour in just to add a little bit of depth to the hair, and then putting in some colour in her eyes as well. So apart from those little bits of stronger colour, I'm going to leave it fairly simple like that. I think I end up putting a little bit of eyeshadow on and a little bit of blush because, you know, we need to make ourselves up on New Year's Eve. I'm not a big New Year's Eve person, I have to say. If I can get to bed early, that is good. We used to have fireworks where I used to live, and I could see them from my balcony, so I used to stay up for that. But as I've got older, it's just as easy to stay at home in bed and watch it on YouTube the next day. We did cheat somewhat this year because my oldest daughter, sorry, thought she was old enough to stay up and see the 12 o'clock fireworks, but she was getting rather cranky and rather sleepy. So when we came home at about 10 o'clock, we put on a YouTube video of the Sydney fireworks from 2022 and told her that it had a slight white fib and said it was the 2023 ones, and she'd stayed up to see them, and she was very happy with that and went to bed. However, she was a bit more cluey than we thought she would be, because they were talking about 2022 the whole way through it. She's going, but why are they talking about 2022? It's 2023. So mummy fail there, but that's okay. Yes, so we went to bed early that night, and we were very happy the next morning that we chose to do that. So once I finished gluing my lovely lady on, I just wanted to finish off the rest of the page, and I knew I wanted to put a quote or a title on this page. I knew I wanted not necessarily to sort of say New Year's Eve, but to put the date on this somewhere to sort of symbolise it was a starting day. I really like choosing this as a bit of a motto for this year, so life is what you create. And that sort of really was resonant with me in the fact that, we can have our good days, we can have our bad days, it's what we choose to see out of them. And it's something I need to remind myself of, because occasionally I get into a bit of a negative head spin. So do I choose to see things in the positive or the negative? Where's my glass and how full is it? So that's why I chose to have this little quote on this page. And some people I know, when it comes to a new year, will have a new word that's their focus word for the year. So you could possibly do a page that sort of echoes that. And obviously you don't have to wait till New Year's to do this. You can do it at any stage, sort of just have a bit of a refocus and sort of commit to paper what your focus is, I suppose. And I think for me, creating this page wasn't necessarily about what I've done in the background or the focal image, because those are the sort of things I do all the time. But as I was doing this, I guess I was thinking about that message and what it meant to me and how I could put that into effect this year. So that's kind of what was going through my head at the time. And it's interesting sometimes when you do your journaling, depending on what reason you're doing it for. Sometimes it's just to have fun, sometimes it's to swatch out or play with new materials, and then sometimes it is actually to clear up your brain a little bit and to focus what's in your brain and put it down on paper. So I'm just going around all my lettering. Obviously that white was really stark on the page, which I really like, but by just putting that little bit of black, and now on the other side I'm putting a bit of pink to echo the pinks on the page, just to completely surround each of my letters. One, because I like the look of it, and two, it just really sort of helps pop it out from the background a little bit. And I enjoy sort of playing around with them that way. I did decide I was going to turn them into sort of like marquee letters, so I got my gold pen out, because of course it is New Year's Eve, so you need a little bit of sparkle in your life, and added some dots into each of my letters. So this is a chrome metallic pen, so it's like a mirror finish. It's from an Australian company called Life of Colour, but I'm pretty sure in most places Krylon leafing pens and so on are very similar, and you can use them in the same way. This has just got a bullet point. I think the Krylon pens I used to use had a chisel point. So once I'd done that, I decided I wanted to put some sprinkly bits in my lady's hair as well, just to glamour up for the evening. And I actually really enjoyed doing this bit. I'm not very good at doing hair, but I just really liked how this ended up looking. It made it look a lot more special. And yeah, just finished the piece off, which I really, really loved. So just using my gold pen, making big and small dots all over it, and then going in with my finer white pen to add some more sprinkly bits and little stars and little shine across her head. It would have been good if I'd sort of had and maybe put a pair of earrings on her too, so especially on that left hand ear hanging down. I think that would have focused it a little bit. And then going in and putting in some highlights on her lips and the catch-all in her eyes. So I'd forgotten to put the date on after talking about that, so I went back and popped the date on. But this is a finished piece, and I was really pleased with how it turned out, and it's a good way to focus how I was feeling about the year and what I wanted to get out of the year going on. So I hope, I realise this is going up halfway through the year, if not later, but I hope you've had a pretty good 2023 so far, and here's to moving forwards. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, bye for now.